Jill Caldera here, and I am with Gerard Torchio with On the Fly Appraisals. Thanks for being here today, Gerard. I really appreciate it. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the appraisal business?
Well, it was about 15 years ago. My best friend's parents owned an appraisal company, and they asked me one day if I'd like to work at their office. So I started and worked my way up from the ground floor, and about 10 years ago, I started my own appraisal company, On the Fly Appraisals.
What has that been like as a new business owner?
Well, there were struggles at first. It was actually during the recession we opened, so of course it was hard to make ends meet, but we survived, and now it's just busier than ever.
So how many employees do you have working for you?
There is 4, including my wife. She does our order processing, and we're located right here in central Lakeland.
Okay, so tell us, what's a day in the life of an appraiser?
Well, it usually starts off, I'm out in the field doing appraisal inspections, and then about halfway through the day we come back to the office and we're typing up and researching reports until the early night.
You say you do inspections, so are you a home inspector too?
No, not a home inspector. Our appraisal inspection, we typically go out, measure the property, take photos, write down notes. We're not as thorough as a home inspector would be.
Okay, is there certain things that you might look out for, like a home inspector?
I'm looking for anything that would be a health or safety risk typically.
What are the main things that you come across often?
Stuff that needs to be repaired usually can hold up a loan. That would be your wood decay, anything that would be a safety issue for your homeowner or future homeowner.
Gotcha. How do you come up with your values? I mean, I'm sure you see so much.
Typically, we'll find the most reasonably similar sales in the area.
Okay.
Then we'll adjust them out to try to come up with an adjusted sales price, and that is how we come up with our value.
Well, you know, today's consumer is online, and between property appraisers and Zillow says my house is worth, $1 million. How do you overcome that objection with homeowners?
The Polk County Property Appraiser will use dated information to come up with their market value, while Zillow is all automated and they'll just use 3 sales and come up with the value. They don't do a more thorough inspection, take into consideration updates, views, location, that the appraiser would. Now, Zillow can be somewhat accurate. You'll see it more accurate in subdivision homes or in condominium complexes where pretty much all the sales are virtually the same. In areas where you have a lakefront property though, it can be completely off as Zillow's not comparing it to a lakefront home. Most big banks will use what's called an AMC or appraisal management company. And appraisers will either sign up with these companies or these companies will find the appraiser. We're putting on a panel of appraisers, and it's usually just a rotating panel where they order the appraisal and it will get broadcasted to one of these appraisers. If they decline it, it goes to the next appraiser. So all AMCs will have a panel of appraisers that they use.
How do you get paid? And being that there's so many houses and so many variables doing appraisals, coming up with a value, is one price set for every property?
No, we typically have our standard fee for your standard home. And then once it gets over into large acre tracts or custom homes, over 5,000 square feet homes, the fee will start to increase.
So with all these different types of loans, USDA, FHA, is it going to be the same value across the board?
Yes, typically all we're looking for is a market value on all 3 of those. The only difference between them is we might perform a more thorough inspection for your FHA or USDA loan. But at the end of the day, the market value is the market value. So all 3 of them should have the same.
Okay. And I know that all the guidelines are ever changing. Is that difficult for you?
We do go to continuing education to refresh up every 2 years on new guidelines and standards that may have come out.
Now that spring season is here and we know it usually picks up, is it really that much slower or busier different times of the year?
Well, typically there is the slowdown. It lasts from about Thanksgiving to about February, tax season. But then it picks right back up and it's going probably better than it has last year.
That's a good indication because with all the headlines that we see on the news, you just don't know what. One day it's this, the next day it's that, and there's a shift coming, so where do you see things going?
Right now, it's still increasing slightly within our market. We've seen some areas start to stable out. However, a drop hasn't been noticed in any markets within Polk County yet.
Well, that's good. That sounds like we're in a healthy market.
Yeah, Polk County has been a really healthy market, and if anything, we're still at a shortage of listings.
Wow, interesting. Very interesting. So as a homeowner, I'm sure a lot of the viewers also want to know what improvements can they do that add value to their property?
Well, the best return on investments we've seen is the kitchen and bathrooms. If it's typical for your market to have updated bathrooms and kitchens, that would be your best bet.
Okay, so what if I wanted to turn my garage into another bedroom?
It might be a good idea and it might not. It depends on the market. If most of the homes in the area have a 2-car garage and you just took away that garage, your typical buyer wants it, and now it might be more detrimental than beneficial.
Being in Florida, I get a lot of home buyers that are always a little skeptical when purchasing a wood frame home. Does that matter in the value?
Some markets it actually does. However, if your market is mostly frame homes, it shouldn't affect the value.
Okay. And I have to know, everyone wants to know, how do you come up with your comps? How do you know this is $10,000 or this is $5,000? Where do you come up with your numbers?
Well, the most common term you'll hear appraisers say is they use paired sales analysis. And that's where we'll take 2 homes from the neighborhood that have sold recently that are identical, but maybe one factor. This home has 3 bedrooms, that one has 4 bedrooms. And then we try to determine what the difference in that sales price was, and that is typically your adjustment for your bedroom.
What about energy efficiency products and upgrades?
Well, if you have older windows, it will be beneficial to put new energy efficient windows in. We are seeing the market kind of evolve, and people are putting solar panels and the new solar tiled roofs in. And it might be hard to find that adjustment, and sometimes we'll use what's called the depreciation method to try to figure out what is that worth.
What are some of the things that you see that homeowners add to their home and they may overpay for, expecting to get that return in the sale of their home?
Some of the most common items are high-end security systems, water softeners, some of those things that it makes them more comfortable. However, it's something hard for us to be able to prove has value.
That's a lot of valuable information. Thank you so much. And I hope that helps, the viewers understand a little bit more, about their home or anything that they may be looking at. Where do people find you?
They can find me online at ontheflyappraisals.com or 863-617-9999.
Great. Thanks, Gerard.
Thank you.